Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ. Good afternoon, listeners. You're tuned in to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show.
Absolutely. No one's challenged us yet.
We are taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week, start-ish of the month airwaves. My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him.
And I'm Andy, and my pronouns are he, him.
And I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians on the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city of Mungingin, or Miangin, on Turrbal, Yagara and Yucaba land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Cubby Cubby and Unibara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south we reach Commerry, Nagaragwal, Mununjali, Wanjerabara, Yugambeh and Bunjalung countries. Happy NAIDOC week, everyone.
Yes, happy NAIDOC week.
Today on the show, we are going to be talking to Emma Kate Rose, the Executive Director of Food Connect Foundation. We're going to be talking about the South-east Queensland Food Summit, which is a 3-day conversation to learn about all levels of our local food system. It will include talks with families, farmers, chefs and the government. So stick around to learn more about that. Thank you to No Idea for all the fantastic ideas. I always enjoy a little science fiction talk.
Is this about the kestrels being used for
yeah, that too.
drone
Yeah,
hovering?
Yeah. Learning from, what is it called? Biomimicry?
Yeah. So what were they using? The Nanking kestrel and putting into a wind tunnel?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And the Gattaca talk is always good, although I feel like this, although it is a bit sciencey, it's more about ethics of eugenics and genome manipulation.
Yeah, definitely.
But I love that movie. I just watched it recently. Fantastic. Before we continue, there's a few wattles in bloom around town. Andy, have you been noticing all the wattles?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, when the weather starts getting cooler, you start seeing the wattles coming out.
Yeah. Although, I think we're over winter now. I think it's going to start getting warmer again.
Yep.
But I want to ask our listeners, where are the biggest and bushiest Queensland silver wattles that you see? I always love going around and finding new wattles. So I want to see like the biggest show that you know of, dear listeners. Text us in at 0420 626 733. Let us know where your favourite blooming wattle is.
So you got a favourite wattle, Dave?
Well, I think my favourite wattle is Acacia fimbriata, the Brisbane wattle.
Yep.
It's just a beautiful shower, and the bees always love it around this time.
Yeah.
Queensland silver wattle is a close second, though. That's a fantastic wattle, and I think we might be talking about this a bit later. But the phyllodes, because they're not leaves, but for all intents and purposes, they're leaves, right? Are blue-grey. So I want to know about like how that works with photosynthesis, because chlorophyll is the thing that turns sunlight into sugar, right?
Yep.
And chlorophyll is green.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just going back to my biology undergrad days.
So like I want to know like why there are leaves that are blue grey, there are leaves that are red.
Yep.
That still manage to photosynthesize?
Interesting question. One that we'll have to consider.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get into that later. But text me in 0420 626 733. Tell me where your favourite wattle is in town. I might even try and go and see all of them, and put up a iNaturalist registry or something.
Yeah.
It is NAIDOC week, and for this NAIDOC week, I want to play an all Aboriginal and Islander soundtrack. So to kick everything off, I want to play some Seaman Dan with Going Back Home. Torres Strait Islander Seaman Dan from Thursday Island. Just a fantastic classic songwriter. And let's kick it off.
Great.
You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
Have you been loitering around like a juvenile delinquent? Are you lacking purpose in your life? Subscribe to 4ZZZ and get some warm inner glow.
And on the line right now, I have Emma Kate Rose, the Executive Director of the Food Connect Foundation. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm really well, Dave. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Coming
Great
up...
song, by the way.
Yeah, isn't it? I love Seaman Dan.
I like the Pegram Brothers, but that was a good version.
Oh, okay. I might look up some Pegram Brothers for later.
Yeah.
So coming up is the South-east Queensland Food Summit. That's the probably the biggest event on your calendar year at Food Connect.
Well, actually, every 2 years we do it.
Yep. Every 2 years. Can you tell us and our listeners what is the South-east Queensland Food Summit, please?
Okay, so the summit is about looking at our region, our bioregion, South-east Queensland, and sort of asking ourselves all sorts of questions about the food that we eat. So where does our food come from? How is it grown? How do we make sure everyone gets equal access to good, fresh, local food? And who benefits from the food system as it currently stands. So it can get a bit political, but it's also lots of fun as well. We've jam-packed it the 3 days with fun as well as some serious stuff.
Yeah, so it is over 3 days. Not everything is for everyone.
No.
What's happening on day one, the People's Day?
Yeah, day one is People's Day, and day two is Industry Day, so Hospo Day, and day three is Policy Day for the wonks out there who are interested in that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But People's Day is probably what your listeners might be really interested in, which is, when we did the first summit 2 years ago, we had a big market at Food Connect Shed here, and it was really vibrant and it was lots of fun. But when we did the feedback process with a lot of people, they said, look, this is great, but we actually want to have a say on your industry and policy days. So, can we do a process at your next summit where we actually get to tell industry and policy people what we want out of our food system? So that's what's happening on People's Day. It's on Sunday the 19th in the afternoon on a lovely Brisbane winter arvo at the shed. And it'll be run by Morag Gamble from the Permaculture Education Institute. And she's going to run this Imaginarium process with a real focus on young people. So if you've got young people in your lives, bring it along. Mostly we're looking at sort of high school and uni age students. And we're going to run through a process with them over, 2 hours, and with special guest Costa. He's going to be like the pollinator in the room.
Yeah.
So all the feedback that we get from that process will feed straight into Industry Day and Policy Day the following 2 days, so that the big decision makers who get to decide the policies and where the investment and all the money goes get to actually hear from young people what they want.
Yeah, okay. Well, I read an interview you did recently. You had such an interesting story. Can you tell us how you came to activism and why it's so important to rethink our food system?
Yeah, well, that's a long story, Dave. In a nutshell, I started out as a criminologist, but I specialised in an aspect of criminology called community safety. And I got really jaded with that whole thing. I just could see that the current system as it stood just wasn't working. So I took a career break and looked after my little ones. I had 2 little boys at the time, and at around that stage, the movie An Inconvenient Truth came out, and I was just so shocked by the findings in that movie that I decided that climate work was where I needed to focus my attention if my kids were going to have a future. I started a climate action group, and I started a little car sharing club, And then that led me to meet Rob, who had started Food Connect at around the same time. And, we fell in love, and then I fell in love with Food Connect as well as Rob.
Yeah. So how does food come into that?
So food, when I heard Rob, because I was getting organic fruit and veg from Northeast Street, thinking I was doing my bit, and that's valid, and that's perfectly fine, and it's a really good way for people to participate in an alternative food system that's good for people and planet. But I was listening to Rob, who with his dairy farming experience, getting booted off his land by the banks and drought and deregulation, that there was something fundamentally wrong with the structure of the food system as a whole, and that we actually needed to find ways to address systems challenges. So things like government policy, where investment was being made. And I could see Rob was setting up a model that was alternative to the mainstream system that could actually address a lot of those ethical questions in the food system. And so I was just absolutely hooked. And so I just thought, that's it. That's my life's work from now on.
So what is the problems that you see to address with our food system currently?
Well, at the moment, we're really heavily reliant on very long global supply chains. And as we know, with the Strait of Hormuz situation, we're really highly dependent on fossil fuels for our food system to function really well.
Yeah.
And so that means it's quite vulnerable to supply shocks. And so we can't just rely on the two major supermarkets to just, supply us with food whenever we want it, because we know, especially during COVID, that didn't happen. Like the first weeks of COVID, supermarkets ran out of food, but the local food networks didn't. They actually adapted really well through their relationships to be able to supply food and not miss a beat. So there's things like that, the supply chain issues. There's also, climate change is a massive issue. We need to think about how we grow our food, how we look after our country, look after land, how, protect the waterways, encourage more biodiversity on farmland. And when you're paying regenerative farmers a really good price for the food that they produce, then they can spend the time looking after their land. They can spend the time looking after their biodiversity and waterways.
Yep.
So they actually invest in it. So there's a lot of win-wins with the local regenerative food system. And also just in terms of, affordability, with our 18 years of delivering food from local farmers at Food Connect, it was not more expensive than the supermarkets to get really good, fresh, local, regeneratively grown food. A lot of our customers were very price sensitive, and they proved to us time and time again with their own research that it wasn't that much different to the supermarkets. And in fact, it was a much more stable market. They knew how much they were going to spend on their food budget for like a year or 2 years ahead. Whereas with supermarkets, the prices go up and down all the time.
Yeah, right. I guess that feeds into, no pun intended, the Regenerating the Regions program. Can you tell us about the Food Connect Foundation program, Regenerating the Regions? Yeah,
love to. So we wrote a report. We partnered with WWF a couple of years ago to basically look at the work that Food Connect have been doing, as well as the wider ecosystem of farmers and other alternative food system players in South-east Queensland, and to write up what a regional food system would look like, and also to sort of create a bit of a blueprint for communities to be able to look at the infrastructure in their own regions, map their region for what food is currently being grown in their region, what infrastructure is there to support local supply chains, and then how to go about plugging those gaps, as well as how do we encourage community investment in their own infrastructure? How do we raise capital from the people, from our customers, and from people who love regenerative farming? How do we own the food system, with our own dollars, and how do we blend that with fancy things like impact investment and maybe the odd government grant and the like, to set up ourselves in our regions all over Australia to really feed ourselves properly, because we're going to see more and more disruptions to the food supply chain as time goes on. And of course, you know, with climate becoming a real issue, we're just about to head into El Nino, and that's going to reveal a lot of interesting times for us here in Australia with our food supply. So getting the regions resourced and ready to meet those challenges is what Regenerating the Regions program is all about at Food Connect.
Yeah, okay. Well, it seems to, on the outset, be that the food system is a free market economics system, and that government doesn't really have a part to play in it. But the Food Summit is going to be partly talking to government people. And you've also put forth an idea called the Good Food Purchasing Australia. I think it's a really interesting idea, but could you just tell our listeners about it?
Sure. So Day 3 is Policy Day, and we've got a couple of panels, 3 panels on that day. The first is just asking the general question around how do we create resilient regions to feed themselves. The second panel is all about procurement. So we've got some fantastic researchers who and practitioners who, particularly Good Food Purchasing Australia, who have just undertaken some research in partnership with Food Connect Foundation on what is the total spend on food by government departments across Australia, so both at the federal and the state level. And we came up with the magic number of $2.1 billion across prisons, hospitals, aged care, long day care, defence, even Antarctica. All of our taxpayer dollars feeds everyone in those institutions. So how can we use those taxpayer dollars for public good? Instead of going to like massive multinational global companies, how can we capture some of that big spend and redirect it towards local and regenerative farmers in regions? So, for example, you know, Toowoomba Base Hospital, why can't they, you know, source their fresh produce from local farmers around their region? Yeah,
that's a really interesting model. It's before I researched this, I hadn't heard about that as an idea. But it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of different communities that rely on the government for food. You know, you were saying the hospitals, a lot of regional hospitals as well, obviously. Defence and prisons. And, these foods can be going to the local area as well.
Exactly. So it's a good economic driver for the region, but also a lot of these communities or people that access these services tend to be in the more vulnerable sort of priority populations anyway. And so guaranteeing them a freshly made, hot, locally sourced, you know, healthy meal is probably going to do wonders for them. So it sort of has a lot of health equity benefits as well by redirecting those tax dollars.
Okay, so how does that happen? How do we get the government to make that policy now?
Well, that's what I'm hoping they'll figure out on the last day of the summit at Policy Day, we're really hoping that we get a demonstration project out of this, because 2 years ago we asked the question, what if we source 30% locally for the Brisbane Olympic Games? And that was just we didn't even know if we already do 30%. You know, no one knew the data, no one has the data, but it was just a provocation. And now we're further along the path 2 years, and we've got really good examples elsewhere in Australia where this is starting to happen, and we're going to really, ask the room, well, how can we get this going in South-east Queensland?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because, these are, unanswered or unquestioned answers. I don't think people are questioning our food systems enough.
I don't think they do. And in fact, I was in discussions with one of the speakers on Policy Day, Rachel Chambers. She's the Food Farmers Commissioner, and she's been tasked with the enviable job of holding the supermarkets to account. And she said, at the moment, the government sees critical minerals as a huge priority for the state government.
Yeah.
You know, like they're really prioritising the development of critical minerals for our energy future, right? She said, you'd be lucky to even get food on the agenda at all. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not on the radar, yet we eat every day.
Yeah.
And so...
It's so
just
central.
this kind of... Yeah, it's like the air we breathe. So it's like, why isn't this a priority for the government? Like, it just seems like such a no-brainer. So, yeah, anyone out there who can help us advocate for getting food on the agenda, get in touch, because we're really keen to shake the can.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so can you let us know what's happening for the SEQ Food Summit happening starting on the 19th of July?
Yeah, so 3 days, 2 p.m. on the 19th of July, Sunday Arvo will be the People's Day workshop, and then that's followed directly by a film night. We've got 3 short films showing. We've got a food truck happening and the bar's open, so even if you're not interested in food, just come down for a feed and a drink and watch the movie. On Industry Day, which is Monday the 20th, we've got an afternoon workshop with chefs, farmers, wholesalers, cafes, retailers, and we've got some really good sessions around regenerative farming as well as procurement, like we just talked about, and trying to match chefs with farmers. And then after that, in the evening, we've got a fantastic night of talks by some Brisbane authors who have written 3 great books around food and chefs in Brisbane. And after that, we've got a couple of farmers doing like a lightning talk session, and that's also going to feature some beautiful food, and the bar will be open on Monday night as well. And then Tuesday's Policy Day, so it's a whole day workshop from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Hey, Emma Kate, this is Andy. I've got a question about Indigenous food sources, like the plants that Indigenous people have used and are looking to try to expand upon. Is that something within the scope of Food Connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So the summit actually has quite a number of panels with Indigenous food businesses and food researchers, food system leaders, featuring on our panel sessions. And they will be talking about the importance of reconnecting South-east Queensland people with, the food that's always been here. And so that's going to be a big part of it. And particularly, we like to sort of point to these big events like the Olympic Games to sort of say, well, let's use this as an opportunity to, build the Indigenous First Nations foodways into the offering at the Olympic Games and other events that come along, but also have that long-term legacy. So ensuring that there's, economic participation and self-determination of the region's First Nations communities, So wherever we can be a good ally in that space, we try our best and, give a lot of time and space for those conversations to happen. But we're, it's never perfect, and we're always looking to do more in that space.
All right. Thanks very much for joining us, Emma. It was great to chat to you.
Thanks, Andy and Dave. Yeah, great to chat.
All right. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
They tried to bury me. They didn't realise I was a seed.
You're listening to Eco Radio, the radio of the future.
You are listening to Eco Radio, the radio of the future. Thank you, small child. And we just heard then from Rumpy Band with From the Bush, probably the best punk song going in Australia, at least. In the world. Best punk song in the world.
Well, that would be cool.
It is. Before that was Baker Boy with Thick Skin. That goes out to Wavy. Wavy wanted to hear that one. And before that was Kankawa Nagara with Canning Basin Blues, also known as Olive Knight, a WA woman that as a fantastic blues songstress. And if you like what we do here on 4ZZZ, or specifically here on Eco Radio, maybe you'd like to subscribe. You'd like to become a part of the family here at 4ZZZ. You'd like to subscribe for as little as $25 or $40 for concession. If that's up your alley, then you're more than welcome to become a subscriber. Andy, I've got a little thing that I'm going to be doing from now on. I'm going to put a password into these shows so that I can check whether my girlfriend listens to me. So the password today is porcupine.
Porcupine, all right.
And, continuing on, if you want to become a subscriber, you go to 4zzz.org.au/support. This month, the month of July, if you subscribe, you can go in the running to win a Garage Sounds record store voucher to the value of $200 dues.
Fantastic. That'd be awesome.
For all your record store needs. Text us in. We're still looking for the best wattles in Brisbane or surrounds. So text us in. You may actually, we haven't got any texts in. I think that might be because people are gatekeeping their favourite wattles.
Yeah, keeping them secret on the low down. So, yeah.
But if I'm not a gatekeeper here on Eco Radio, my favourite wattle is probably the Queensland Silver Wattle that's in Woodhill Avenue in Coorparoo. It's big, bushy, it's fantastic. And down the bottom you've got Bowie's Flat Wetlands, which is where there's a bunch of brigalow that are flowering at the moment. Not all of them, but some of them, because Andy just told me that I was mistaking them for eucalyptus before I saw them flower.
Yeah, so it's pretty atypical for acacias. You know, they form trees rather than little shrubs. Mm-hmm. Can be quite big trees, up to 20 metres.
Blackwoods can be quite big and old.
Yeah,
we think about acacias as they're these young or the short-lived species. Up to 7 years old. Big, bushy, showy, and then and die.
Yeah, that's not generally the case.
No.
It's a huge genus. Acacia in Australia, I think there's over 1,000 species of a wattle in Australia.
That's nuts.
So yeah, it's a massive thing, and fortunately we got to keep the genus Acacia.
Yeah, we did talk about this on the show. I don't know, months ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big fight.
Yeah, it was
in the naming of species world.
Yeah, so there's international rules for nomenclature for naming, organisms, and the genus name Acacia was actually described on a leafy acacia from Africa. So as you mentioned before, a lot of our acacias in Australia are phyllodenous, so they've got the leaves there on the young plant, but as the plant develops, the leaves become smaller and smaller, and the phyllodes, which is basically the stem of the leaves, become the photosynthetic organ.
Yeah, so this is when you see young plants and sometimes new growth. It will pop out with these compound clusters of leaves, which look more like, peas, pea plants. They're both fabaceae. And so, but those die off, and you're left with these other leaves, in air quotes, which aren't leaves at all.
They're
the stems.
They're
the stems that look like leaves.
The leaf stalks become the photosynthetic organs rather than the leaf. So yeah, there was a bit of a hoo-ha that Australia shouldn't have been using the genus name Acacia, and so they it was actually proposed to convert a lot of our acacias over to Racospermum, which just doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Acacia.
But that's fallen to another country now.
Yeah.
Or another continent, sorry.
Yeah, so a lot of the leafy acacias have gone to different genera, most notably like a lot of our leafy ones in Queensland have gone to Facellia as the genus name. And, yeah, quite controversially, Australia managed to retain the acacia genus name rather than
probably
Rhacospermum.
because we have the largest amount of acacias or those species
that's
on our continent.
Essentially, that's it. But when you think about it, we probably have more resources than a lot of the African countries to change names and do all that.
Yeah.
We fortunately got to keep acacia. So I think that was decided at the International Botanical Congress in Vienna, which I was fortunate enough to be in attendance of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there was a lot of excited Australian botanists there saying.
What were other people saying? Were you at the bar later that night doing Aussie, acacia?
Yeah, wearing the green and gold, which is the wattle colours. So doing the victory lap around the Congress.
Was there a bit of like commiseration from other countries or other continents?
Oh, look, probably, but it was never really spoken of, I don't think.
Okay.
I think a lot of Australian botanists were relieved that especially botanists in herbaria, don't have to go through the process of changing our databases, updating all the specimens, moving specimens around. So
right.
It is a bit of a process, especially, I mentioned off air that we've got over 1,000 species of wattle in Australia. So, it's a big ask.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we'll stick with wattles because they're flowering at the moment. Why aren't phyllodes leaves? They do all the things that leaves do. They photosynthesize. They grow flowers.
Yeah, gaseous exchange. So it's... now, don't quote me on this, but I think it's a response to the aridity of Australia, that leaves may lose more water content than phyllodes.
Right.
But we still, with the phyllodenous acacias, still have stomata in there for gas exchange. And once the stomata are open, of course, the phylode or the leaves are losing water to the atmosphere as well. You've touch some of those phyllodenous leaves, the wattle leaves, and they are quite thick and tough.
They're a bit thicker, they're a bit leathery.
It's probably all a bit of a response to the Australian continent, drifting north over time and becoming more arid. And but I'd have to do a bit of research on that one, I'm afraid, Dave.
That's all right. Because we are, I think it's 70% desert or something like that, right? But all of our species haven't adapted for the arid parts of the country. There are a lot of them in rainforests and alpine regions and things like that, but they still have the phyllodes.
Okay. So, one of our worst weeds, mimosa bush, is a leafy acacia.
Right, prickly acacia. That's a lot of taking over a lot of the arid land.
Arid, semi-arid areas.
Areas. I had a job at one point cutting down prickly acacia.
Oh, what a job
for sheep and cattle to eat. Not very fun.
No, could imagine.
Yeah, there is a bit of resources out there about using prickly acacia for biofuel.
Oh yeah.
Biochar.
Yep.
And
one of the things you mentioned too with the their pods looking like little pea plants or the seedlings.
Mm-hmm.
So it is classed as a legume. So including all those Fabaceae type butterfly flowers, pea flowers, they're all legumes. So nitrogen fixators, so being able to fixate atmospheric nitrogen and store it in the soil. So
I just love talking about acacias. But we are quickly running out of time. We've only got 10 minutes left. So why don't we just go straight into the Bushcare Roundup?
Okay.
All right. The Bushcare Roundup is our weekly collation of environment and peace events that you can get involved with. And the sting sounds a little something like this.
It's a Bushcare Roundup.
They've been pulling out weeds, and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup. All right, Andy, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so for the whole month of July, it is the Great Australian Fungi Hunt. So from the 1st to the 31st of July, you can take part in the Fungi Maps Great Australian Fungi Hunt. And here's how to do it. You find a fungi, a lichen or a slime mould, and you take clear photographs of key features and upload your observation to Fungi Maps Great Aussie Fungi Hunt iNaturalist project. So the online community and experts will then assist with identifying your observations, and all that information go into mapping the distribution of fungi around Australia.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so for more details, head to fungimap.org.au.
I do think, fungi are fun. Well, no, I'm not trying to, they're a great, thing to go looking for. Stinkhorns are my favourite things.
And did you know that the fungi are more closely related to animals than they are to plants?
Yes, I've heard this, right? Yeah. Okay, we'll get into that another time. Happening Thursday the 9th at 7:30 a.m. You can go to the Save Koala Habitat protest rally. That's happening at Delancey Street in Ormiston. Also on Thursday at 8:30, you can go to the N4C Coorparoo Finger Gullies Bushcare Working Bee. That's meeting at Eva Street in Coorparoo.
On Friday the 10th, there's nothing. On Saturday the 11th, at 8 o'clock, it's macro at Mount Coot-tha, Brisbane bug snappers at the Mount Coot-tha Botanic Gardens.
Yeah, so that's something I just saw pop up. That is, they just go out and look at bugs and take photos of them with their macro lenses.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Where are we up to? 8:30, Friends of Diagla National Park Habitat Restoration at Diagla National Park, the Mount Mee section. Any idea what part of Mount Mee section? The gantry?
No, I didn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up.
At 2 o'clock, it's the Save Koala Habitat protest rally at Delancey Street, Ormiston. And at 2 o'clock, also Free the Park, Protect Barrambin, Ibis Island at Hurston.
Yeah, so the picnic tables at Ibis Island are still open, although the shared pathways are still open, but the grassed areas directly in front of the water are fenced off. Linda has called Geica and received an email from a communications and stakeholder engagement worker saying that the very fact that this role exists, Linda's saying this, the very fact that this role exists means that they want to have a good relationship with the community, so let's remind them, no unnecessary closure of the park, remove the fences from Ibis Island. Call Geica today, they're open 24/7 on 1800 021 023. Ask them why Ibis Island and other areas of the park are closed and demand that they be opened. Well, yeah, when they were told that they won't be closed, that those parts won't be fenced off, that there won't be any restrictions of movement there. But yeah, there obviously is.
Crazy. All right, Sunday the 12th at 8 o'clock, we've got the Hilda Street Bushcare Group Working Bee at the corner of Hilda and Devaney Streets at Corinda. Again, at 8:30, we've got Caring for Your Creek, Koala Creek Catchment Group at Sheep Camp Road, Mount Crosby.
Yeah, and then at 4 o'clock is the Naganan Yarrabun, the Water Protectors film screening.
Oh, nice.
That's the Wangan Yangalingu documentary that's happening at New Farm Cinemas. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening in today. And that's all we've got time for. Do any of those tickle your fancy there, Andy?
Oh, I'm definitely keen to look at the documentary of the Water Protectors. Because I missed it at the premiere, so yeah, it'd be good to try and get to it.
And Garidula will be down for that one as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So, so that's happening New Farm Cinemas, 4 p.m. on Sunday. But yeah, got to get tickets, so might as well get them now. Thank you so much for listening in today. Stick around for the feedback loop with Imogen and Sophie. So every week I try and guess which Smashing Pumpkins song they will be playing. Today I'm guessing Space Boy from the 1993 album Siamese Dream. Hopefully that it was the one that gets played. If it does, I get a high five from everyone in the studio. And that's all we've got time for. Please stick around for the feedback loop. Stick around for 4ZZZ. and have a great week. You've been listening to 4ZZZ Eco Radio.
4ZZZ Eco Radio.
Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ